As a classroom teacher, there are certain things that we tolerate in order to get along, keep the peace, or just make it through the day. But when I stopped tolerating these three things, it made a huge impact on how I managed my classroom and student behaviors. So in today's video, I am sharing those three things coming up next. Hey, teacher friends, Michelle Holiday here. I'm a behavior strategist, and I help teachers, schools, districts, and organizations with systems and strategies to manage their students and learning environments with less stress and less struggle. And in today's video, I am popping in to share the three things that I had to stop tolerating in order to see major change in my classroom management. Real quick, before I go on to the first thing, stop this video and see if you can guess what it was and leave it in the comments below. Now, the first thing I stopped tolerating was disrespect from my students. After being called out of my name, cursed at, mocked, and a variety of other things, I made a decision that I was no longer going to tolerate disrespect from my students. And what do I mean by that? So for me, what that means is by me saying nothing about it, by there being no follow-up action, I felt that I was tolerating this behavior. And part of the reason I was doing it is because I felt like, what else am I going to do? What is my recourse? There's nothing I can do to control it. And that's true. You cannot control it, but you can motivate change with students. So what I did is I created my own consequences for it, because a lot of this disrespectful behavior was not something that I could write up and send them to the office for. And even if I called a parent, if I got the parent on the phone, there was very little that would be done. So I created simple consequences to address the behavior. Things like verbal redirection, things like one-on-one conference, things like owed time for a preferred activity. Those are some of the things that I implemented in order to respond and no longer tolerate the disrespect. The second thing I stopped tolerating was excuses from my students. Yes, my students have reasons for why they don't do homework, for the reasons for why they're arguing, reasons for that, why they're being disrespectful. And I just stopped tolerating that. And I would teach them that, and I actually had a couple of lessons on your excuses are not enough. Yes, even though you may have a reason, that doesn't give you the license to not change your behavior. So whenever a student tried to give me an excuse, especially one that was not valid, I always went to then how do we move forward? How do we do things differently? That changed the narrative and how things were done in my class. The third thing I stopped tolerating was a school management plan that was not serving my classroom needs. So for you, as many other teachers, there is an overall behavior plan that we are called to follow. And I am not telling you to not follow the plan. However, there are certain things that I have to do, that I had to do in-house, i.e. in my classroom, to address the behaviors that were showing up. And these were things that we're doing that were not in conflict with the plan, that were not undermining the plan, but simply were making a change in my classroom. For me, that looked like creating a classroom management system that worked in my classroom. And if things escalated, then I would move it to the school-wide behavior plan. I set boundaries on how we talk to one another, how we work together. I set routines and how we operated things in our classroom. I set up procedures that work for me and how I like to run my classroom. So some of you may be saying, well, these are like little things, but trust me, when you learn how to stop tolerating disrespect, excuses, and a system that doesn't work for you, it will change the game and how you manage your classroom. What are some things that you have stopped tolerating in your classroom that have made all the difference? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you in my next video.